Very good morning and welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the 2024 Online AgCareers Expo. We would like to take a moment to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which we live, work and play, those throughout Australia, and in particular to the Wurundjeri people as we're coming to you from Wurundjeri land today. We pay our respects to elders past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal people who are here with us today. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to our speakers today and thank you for being here. We've got an exciting lineup. My name's Melanie Moeller. I'm part of the RuralBiz training team, and we're very excited to have so many of you join us today. Primary Industries Education Foundation of Australia, the leader in food and fibre education advocacy, I think, in Australia. Welcome, Luciano. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation.
It's a pleasure. We're so excited by the work that we see Primary Industries Education Foundation doing. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about what you guys are up to?
Certainly. I'll just share my screen. And so, yes, thank you for the introduction. I'm Luciano Mesiti. I'm the CEO of Primary Industries Education Foundation. And we are a national not-for-profit organisation to support food and fibre education in schools across Australia. So really helping teachers and schools and students know more about the wonderful world of agriculture and food and fibre industries. And I think that's really, really important. So as part of a discussion about career pathways, I'd like to tell you a little bit more about myself, because when we talk about careers and I have a lot of young people who've always asked me about how do I get a job in agriculture, and how do I get out there and get involved in something that I'm passionate about, but I've got no idea how to get there, and no idea who I'm meant to talk to and what I'm meant to do. Everyone's journey is totally different, but I think the most important thing is to be really interested, passionate, and really engage yourself in understanding a lot about careers and about industries related to agriculture. So in my case, I grew up on a farm, and I went off to uni and did a few uni courses, and I ended up working in a university, lecturing and teaching in agriculture. But I also was a high school teacher teaching agriculture. So that teaching component is very important to me. But I also worked in other jobs like at Sydney International Airport as a quarantine officer. I've done environmental consulting. Worked as a technical officer on integrated pest management. Also worked in Indonesia and the Philippines on bird flu and animal health projects. So as you can see, there's no real one pathway. It's been a really interesting journey, but all inside agriculture. And so I've been the CEO of PIEFA for about 4.5, 5 years. And I think for anyone who's trying to work out exactly where they fit, well, it's really about immersing yourself and seeing what the opportunities are. And I think that's really important in all of this, and not to get disillusioned by the fact that there are so many options and there's information coming at you from all angles, and you're not really sure what to do with all of that information. So there's no one career pathway to get into agriculture, is the point I'm making. And it's very important that you think about potential options and really talk to a lot of different people and do a lot of research online to find out where you fit in. So why is agriculture important to Australia? Well, it contributes a hell of a lot to our economy. It also employs a great deal of people, especially at the farm level, but even more along the supply chain. I know we talk a lot about agriculture and farming, but for the product to leave the farm gate to end up on your plate, there's all those industries, all those careers along the pathway that support agriculture. And so we need to keep thinking about that it's not just about farming, it's about the whole supply chain. So and agriculture is so important in terms of food security. We're so lucky in Australia. We have an abundance of food and fibre like no other country in the world. So very, very fortunate. Um, and so, and agriculture today is really driven by technology and innovation, which means that we need a lot of young people, a lot of people to support the technological developments and innovation. So about 80% of agriculture happens once it leaves the farm gate. If you think about that, there's all these wonderful careers and all the supportive industries that go towards transforming those products into something that we consume, whether it be food or fibre. I always get asked about, well, do I have to go and work on a farm or work in the country in a rural or regional area? You don't necessarily need to do that. There's a lot of jobs in the city as well. So agricultural production is increasing and contributing even more to the economy. And like I said, it's the whole concept of paddock to plate. So there are lots of gaps, employment gaps in agriculture today, food and fibre industries. So, we need, according to the Australian Farm Institute, we need at least 45,000 more additional skilled workers coming into the next year. And there's shortages all along the supply chain, agronomy, farm management, technology, sustainable practices. So there's a whole range of different areas where there are shortages. And so there's lots of opportunities, as I've highlighted already, that ag tech area, technology is leading the way, but also research and development, where we're developing things like climate-resistant crops and animal breeding to enable us to really deal with the potential changes that are occurring in terms of the climate in which we live and work in. So there's expanding roles in farm management and agribusiness. Agribusiness is a really important concept here because agriculture, food and fibre industries are businesses. So it's really important that we have young people who are understanding of the needs of business and the like, and have those skills of business management, which are transferable to everything. And there's so many opportunities. And I think that really biosecurity is becoming the big issue that we need to, that the government's investing more money in, and we need more and more people to support, because biosecurity protects Australia from potential pests and diseases and anything that would impact the survival and economic development of many different industries. So what does a career in agriculture look like today? Well, does it look like this? Well, in some cases it does. Old man on a tractor, and there's certainly a lot of I think the average age of a farmer in Australia is verging into the 60s. I haven't kept up with the latest numbers in all of that, but this is also agriculture. We have someone who's flying a drone, and we know that drones are used more extensively in agriculture today to manage animals and plants, to collect data, to actually control things like weeds or identify where there are issues and problems. So we need people who are skilled to actually program these devices, but also to manage and work them. This is agriculture as well, and we need people who are involved in the growing, the harvesting, and the maintaining of many crops. And many of our crops are grown in the fields, and so and many of them are labour intensive. So we do need those sort of people involved in the industry. This is also agriculture. We have a robot there that's managing and monitoring another plant crop. And again, it's all about collecting data and making sense of data. And I think they are important aspects of careers in food and fibre today, and problem solving and managing complex situations, which essentially are entailed in growing plants and animals. So, there's lots of careers associated with robotics and mechatronics at a whole range of different levels. And here we have examples of some young ladies who are all involved in agriculture in some sense, whether in terms of farming or in terms of ag tech or consulting So the point of all this is that there are different faces to careers and agriculture, and basically it's trying to work out where do you fit in. And so where you fit in and the sorts of career pathways that exist are quite varied, and they're huge. I mean, it's basically every single industry that we deal with in our lives day to day also have an impact on agriculture. And so, as I'm stating here, ag technology, agronomy, agribusiness, we certainly need more agriculture teachers in schools to inspire young people towards careers and working in the industry. I think schools are really important in that. And there's a whole range of other pathways: farm management, research and development, food science and safety, and human health and well-being. I mean, farm safety is such a huge thing, and safety and work health and safety along the whole supply chain is a really key thing. And we need people to support and develop strategies and approaches to making workplaces safe. And that's one really important aspect of all this, that component, even though it's not working in the field and working with a crop or an animal, these sort of industries support the resilience within those industries. And there's a whole range of other careers in IT and legal, math, science, political. You too could be a politician and make change. Marketing, food science. The list goes on and on. So every step of the supply chain needs managers, problem solvers, and innovators. Now, here at PIEFA, we have a website called Career Harvest, and it has a whole range of information here about careers and careers descriptions, pathways, day in the life of videos, scholarships, and really finding where you fit in agriculture. And there's just some screenshots of what the website looks like. And there's a whole range of information there that will provide you with some guidance as trying to work out where do you fit. We have links to many, many different industry websites, government websites with lots of information about careers. As you can see, there's careers videos and content for a range of different industries like cane and dairy and eggs and forestry and cotton and viticulture and horticulture. Well, that's all from me today, but I just wanted to give you a big, broad look at the sorts of big picture about careers in agriculture and the sorts of potential pathways and where you can get more information, because it's sometimes really hard to navigate the internet and work out where to find information about careers in agriculture. But thank you for your time today, and good luck with your search in your career in agriculture.
Thank you so much, Luciano. And I would strongly recommend that if you are just starting out your search, go and check out that Career Harvest website, because it really is a great central location to find a range of, different pathways into agriculture, from your scholarships and your courses, to be able to just learn out more about what different jobs might entail. There's some really fabulous resources on there. I don't think I realized that skill shortage in agriculture, that 45,000 extra job roles really by the very near future. That's huge. And what do you think? Do you think that will make push salaries and things in agriculture up because there's such a demand for workers in the industry?
Well, I think it depends on what role there's a mixture of unskilled and skilled workers required. So it depends on which roles there are, and I know a lot of skilled jobs. We are finding it very difficult to find skilled workers within Australia, and then calling on individuals from overseas to come in. So, but still, that's quite challenging in its own way. So I think the skill needs are across the board,
Yeah.
and I think I guess with the changing nature of depending on changes in climate on an annual basis, some industries have more successful years than others, depending on things like rainfall or drought.
Yep.
Predicted needs for workers across the board. So it's all around the unpredictability of those sort of circumstances.
Yeah, but I think there's definitely demand there, and there'll be jobs there if that's where you
Oh,
decide to
absolutely.
invest your time. You're right, just the range of jobs that are available that are linked to agriculture these days is just, it's really becoming an industry that's very technologically advanced, needs lots of computer scientists and agricultural scientists and data technology people and marketing and storytellers and whatever it is that your passion is about. I think there's a role there for you in agriculture if you want it.
Indeed, and to really seek out some role models of people that you think would be the sorts of roles that you'd like to be in, and reach out to them, because there's lots of role models in agriculture today, and lots of people trying to do very similar things. So it's really important to reach out to those role models that are out there.
Yeah, that is great advice. And I think that just ask the questions. So get in touch with someone who's doing something a bit like what you want to do and ask the question, because you'll find that 90% of the time, everyone loves to talk about it and they love answering these kind of questions. So reach out to Luciano and ask him a question. His email is available on the PIEFA website. So get in touch and ask away. He was more than happy to answer your questions. Thank you so much for your time today,
Indeed.
Luciano. We really appreciate it.
All good. Thanks for the opportunity, and good luck to everyone with their search for their career in agriculture.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome Mick Fuller from Dairy Australia as our next speaker. Mick is the people lead at Dairy Australia, I believe. And Mick, you're pretty passionate about people and about dairy and promoting careers in agriculture. How are you, Mick?
Great, Melanie, and thanks for the opportunity to talk to you and the audience today about dairy and careers in dairy.
Thank you so much for being here. I can see you've got your presentation ready to go, so fire away.
Okay, no worries. Thank you. Yeah, look, we've got sort of 10 to 15 minutes to talk about just a summary of a career in dairy. So I'll try and be sort of to the point. So first of all, dairy in Australia is a significant industry. We've got over 4,000 farms operating in the majority of states and territories throughout Australia, but particularly the eastern seaboard, and predominantly in Victoria. So 2/3 of all our farms are based in Victoria. And the dairy industry overall employs over 33,000 people directly and many more indirectly. It's actually the third largest rural industry in Australia, so it's significant. And last year, our farms produced over 8,000 million litres of milk. And there's a lot of stats here, so I won't go through them all. I guess the purpose of this slide is simply to say that dairy is a significant industry, and it really leads into the next sort of discussion point, and that is fundamentally, why would someone want to choose a career in dairy? These are summary points, and so this isn't full reason, but our farmers are innovative, they are problem solving, and they're great business people. The sort of person who's attracted to a job and a career in dairy falls into one or more sort of categories. One, it offers great opportunity and stability. So a job on a dairy farm, is always there. It's a reliable source of income, and in terms of opportunity, it offers everything from someone new coming into the industry who knows nothing about dairy farm through to actual farm ownership and everything in between. our people on farm get to work with animals in the great outdoors. So two really good things. So, providing care for animals, is a really key part of a role in the dairy industry. And, technology continues to advance in agriculture and in dairy at a really rapid rate. And so this has, a really positive impact on not only animal health, but it has a positive impact on the sorts of jobs that are starting to be shaped in dairy and the wider ag industry. I think in terms of sense of purpose, working in dairy, we contribute to a healthier world. The 8 million litres is a significant amount. That's there for largely domestic demand, but we also have thriving international markets as well. And milk and dairy form part of a really important part of most people's diets. And lastly, work in the dairy industry, can lead to not only a rewarding job, but a rewarding career. As I said, agriculture is one of the most rapidly changing fields of study. And I know that we've had other speakers today talk about exactly that. And there's a really high demand for those skills that, professionals have. So people out of school or people going on to tertiary study, there is a huge need in dairy and the broader ag sector for those skills. It's a fairly busy slide, but to say that there's more to dairy than just milking the cows. So someone can come in at an entry level role, having known little or nothing. They can complete further study, whether that be a Cert 2, Cert 3, or Cert 4 in agriculture or dairy production, or to complete a traineeship. They might consider a university degree, whether that's ag science or veterinary science or everything in between. The industry also, directly employs, lots of support trades, whether they be diesel mechanics, plumbers, fitters, milking technicians, etc., etc. And I guess, as a start, AgCareers Start is that gap year program for people, kids leaving school, not quite sure what they're going to do next year. AgCareers Start, provides that gap year program that offers the opportunity to work in the ag industry, and is a great program, supported by the NFF. The scope of jobs and careers available in dairy is really wide. As I said, it's not just about milking the cows. That's an important part, obviously, but it's not just about milking the cows. So, there's, rearing of calves. There's the computer technology that goes into sort of managing animal health and productivity, science and research, genetics, robotics, and away from farm, food technology and manufacturing, what happens on farm with regards to pasture management and agronomy and pasture care. And as I've mentioned before, the engineering and trades attached to dairy are really wide and varied. So in terms of, if someone was thinking, okay, I'm interested in sort of finding more about this, what are the possible career pathways into dairy? I won't spend a lot of time on this slide, but suffice to say, there an entry opportunities really at every level of dairy, whether that be at management level through to, I don't know anything about working on a farm, but I'd really like to know more. There's entry-level farmhand roles that people can move into, learn more about the industry, and really grow their job and their career throughout. A short video. Hopefully this will work. Let's see.
I think the dairy industry allows you to have a career That's really varied. You learn stuff not just about the agriculture industry and the dairy industry in dairy, like you learn about other stuff.
You can come in with no experience and progress through the industry, and you can end up wherever you want to be. You never stop learning on farm. There's new stuff every day, new technology available. And yeah, we're always just trying to go one step better every day if we can.
There is something for everyone. So if you're really interested in working outside with the animals and the pastures, there's something for you there. If you're interested in more farm business management and data, there's lots and lots of opportunities in the industry as well.
It's a lot of fun. Dairy farming is great and it's a really good life.
If anyone love to work with animals, yeah, this is the right place to work. Yep.
Whoops, sorry. So you've heard there from a number of of our people working in dairy and on farm, and they're really passionate about what they do, and everything that I've spoken about before with regards to working with animals, working outdoors. It is a practical problem solving role as much as a technical role. Won't lie, it does involve some early mornings, and it can be hard work, and working in the outdoors has got all the benefits of that, but sometimes it can be rainy as much as it is sunny, and that's all part of sort of working outdoors. But the typical jobs on a dairy farm, as I've mentioned, might be a dairy farm hand, which is a general hand that would have real variety of work. You're never your own boss, but you've got a lot of autonomy in this sort of role. Milkers are always required, calf rearers at certain times of the years, machinery operators, senior farm hands, pasture managers, or more specific roles in pasture management and herd management. So key requirements for the role, I put reliability up top there. So it's a role that requires reliable people, because the cows need caring for and milking on a daily basis, on a multi-time day basis. Being fit and healthy is great, and it is it can be a physical job. Having said that, it really appeals to a broad number of people, and so just general sort of being fit and healthy is all that's required. And over 50% of the people joining our industry have never worked in dairy before, and so whilst it's great to have some pre-experience, it's not a prerequisite to the industry. There's an opportunity if you're keen to learn. Then we've got farmers who are really keen to teach. You have to have an interest in working with animals. I don't think it's going to be a job that would appeal to someone who isn't comfortable around animals or doesn't have an affiliation with them. As I said before, it will appeal to someone enjoys working outdoors. And as I said, experience in the dairy industry is an advantage, but not essential. As I said, 50% of the people joining our industry this year have had no prior experience. So this is sort of more of the same. The non-milking tasks, could include calf feeding and care, mixing feed. It could include paddock work, so working on a tractor. It could include fencing or monitoring the cows, or working with the likes of vets in treating cows, and general farm maintenance. So it's a really varied job that really requires really strong practical problem solving skills, time management, and to be successful. If anyone listening to this was interested, we do have a dairy jobs board. So this is where our 4,000 odd farmers often place their vacancies. So if you go on to the Dairies Jobs Board, you'll see all those vacancies by region, and it will give you all the details of what current opportunities are actually available. We do also have a learning platform that we call Enlight, and someone taking a job or just interested in knowing about more can do some of our foundational training courses on, life on the farm, what it's like, and to learn those sort of basic skills even before day one. And that's available not only to employees, but potential employees as well. So if you're interested in that, it's easy to register for Enlighten and have access to all our great training material.
And is there any cost associated with that training, Mick?
No, that's
completely free. So anyone
Completely
who's interested could jump on and do a module and start to learn about working in dairy.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's right. And once in the industry, it's a really strong support network, both on farm, but also we have networks. So we have a young dairy network where young people get together and talk about, talk about things that they're doing on their own farm, problem solve together, and just it's a general peer-to-peer network that provides great support for people and camaraderie within the industry. So the next steps, in closing, if someone was interested, listening today was interested in knowing more about career, first step is find out more. So visit the Dairy Australia website for more information on what sort of opportunities are available. Have a look at the jobs board, see what sorts of jobs are available and whether that sort of thing would appeal to you. If you are interested, you can register your interests either as an expression of interest, and someone will get back to you on that, or as a direct applicant for one of the vacant roles that we have on our dairies board. And if you are interested, we've got regional offices in each of our 8 dairy regions. You can get in contact with our workforce attraction team there and find out more information.
Great. And can we find the details for our workforce retention and attraction officers on the Dairy Australia website?
Yeah, well, it would be easiest just to go through the regional offices, and they will put you through to the appropriate person. Having said that, Melanie, most of our really good information is actually available on our websites and through our school resources, and so there's a lot of things that actually wouldn't even require to talk to someone directly until you're ready to talk to an employing farmer. The vacancy. So look, I'll share this presentation with you, and you can share that with everyone listening in today. But that's it.
Thank you so much, Mick. There's some really great information in there. I'm really excited to jump on and check out that training website that Dairy Australia has. That looks like a really interesting resource. It's great that it's free and it's available to anyone. I had my start in dairy when I was about 5 years old, feeding the potty calves. And, it's set me in good stead for the rest of my career, I think. Some great lessons there.
Yeah. Well, I grew up on a dairy farm as well. And it's good that I found my way, back in the industry, and and I can talk about the opportunities in the industry with passion, having had what was a great experience in growing up on a dairy farm and everything that it's taught me. So yeah.
And Australia has some of the best dairy products, I think, and systems in the whole world. So it is a great industry to get involved in and be a part of. Lots of passionate people in the industry who care about their animals. And I also just can't believe the technological advancements that dairy is seeing these days with automated systems, data monitoring. The the amount of data that you have about each individual cow, how much milk they're producing, their health, welfare. And I think in dairy, you know, dairy farmers really get to know their cows really, really well and have real fondness for their animals.
Yeah, you're right. It is. It's a love job, but it's a really sort of data-driven business at the same time. So
Yeah.
it's got great components of both.
Thank you so much, Mick. We really appreciate your insights. Thanks for joining us here today. And if anyone would like more information, don't hesitate to get in touch with Dairy Australia or directly with Mick. And I'm sure he'll be happy to give you some more information. Thanks, Mick.
Great. Thanks, Melanie.
Our next speaker is Zoe Carter, founder of Agriculture Jobs Auswide. Hi, Zoe. How are you going?
Not too bad yourself.
Really well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, tell us a little bit about Agriculture Jobs Auswide and what you've started here.
Yeah, so I started this job board back in May after about 4 years of contemplating whether to do it or not. It was something that was definitely needed, not only from people myself, but also employers. And it's gone quite successful very quickly because it is something that's very highly needed in the industry, connecting not only with jobs, but also with events and networking. So I guess I'll run you through, I'll share my screen and run you through a bit of my history about what I've done, and then as well. So Agriculture Jobs Auswide. So I started my journey in the agriculture industry when I was 18 or 19. So I did study agriculture in high school, and I went to my careers advisor in year 10 and said, I want to work on farm. And they said that agriculture is for old blokes and there's no money in it. So that was kind of the end of my journey in high school. I did continue to study agriculture because I enjoyed working with animals and it was an outdoorsy subject. It was very much my type of thing. And still, when I finished, never really saw it as a career pathway, unfortunately. So in 2017, a couple of months after I graduated high school, I had a really bad horse riding accident. Suffered some pretty serious injuries and decided to get out of the horse industry and entered into the agriculture industry, which still has a bit to do with horses, just a lot less than what I used to. So I started on a merino stud in Victoria and then worked my way up to sheep and cattle stations around New South Wales and Western Australia. So here's a few photos of some of the places I've worked. So whilst I was over in the Riverina in New South Wales, I started my first smaller business called Young Aussie Farmers. So coming from a city background that obviously wasn't super supportive of the agriculture industry, I found it quite difficult making those first leaps into the industry. So wanted to make it a little bit easier for people like me. So a little bit of education, a little bit of how to get in, where to look for jobs, and I guess just encouraging people like myself that may not have had access to these studies. Alongside that, back in 2022, I went back over to Western Australia and did some filming and created our livestock or cattle handling course, which is now called the Station cattle course. So it essentially runs people through the very basics of working on a cattle station for the first time and knowing what you essentially is going to keep you safe, as well as understanding if someone says, hey, what kind of cattle have you got there? Instead of not knowing, you can say I've got clean skins or Mickeys. And it is built for the station industry, whereas a lot of your agricultural studies through TAFE and through the government focus on a lot of scientific terms. These are what you'll actually face when you're out on farm. So we are developing a few more at the moment with sheep in the wool sheds as well. They do take a lot of time, and I do them on my own working with industry experts. So that's been quite successful. So from there, we stepped into Agriculture Jobs Auswide, which, as I said earlier, started up in May. So when I do a lot of advocacy work for the agriculture industry through Young Aussie Farmers and through my own personal name, and a lot of questions I get asked are, where do I find jobs in agriculture? And previously, I've had to send people a very long list, which does not comprise of every area to look for jobs, of where to find them. And that was Facebook groups, which there are hundreds of them, other job boards, which unfortunately are not built for the industry, as well as, recruitment agencies and education services, government bodies and things like that. The jobs are everywhere. And unfortunately, none of the job boards were built for the industry as a whole and built to support the industry. So I thought, nah, it's my time to essentially get out there and make something, not only making it easy for myself when I need to look for work, but also those around me and also for farmers as well. So so Young Aussie Farmers, Agriculture Jobs Auswide is a job board. So it's essentially just for finding work. It's a really simple way to connect everyone. We've built it for farmers, so it's very easy to manage, easy to deal with job board, and it's just gone really big really quickly. Yesterday we had 120 jobs on the website. It does chop and change with things expiring and stuff, but that was yesterday's. And we've had since May, so about 4 months, we've had almost 2,000 applications sent off to employers, which is quite big. Yeah, quite considerate. So we've already had interviews with the Weekly Times and the National Farmers Federation, and we've got a lot of events like this that we're talking at. So I think this is going to get big quite quickly, and the goal is for this just to change the face of agriculture in Australia, especially for not only helping employers and workers connect, but also for helping upskilling. So we have an events and education section on the website as well. So say if you're wanting to enter the industry or you're wanting to upskill in the industry, is you can go do like whatever essentially education services are added onto the website. So we've had chem certs, AI, so artificial insemination. We've had deer hide courses and things put on there. And then on top of that, also networking. So if you have recently just moved to, say, Tamworth, you don't know anyone, you don't know what's around, you can go do the events that are advertised in the area. So not only connecting people jobs-wise, but also with other people like-minded in the industry and being able to upskill, because we do have an issue at the moment with just not enough skilled workers in the industry. On top of that, so an area that I think will definitely benefit to the people watching is we have a category called first year opportunities. So these are jobs that farmers or agricultural businesses are happy to take on and train first years. So instead of applying for jobs that you're not quite sure may take on first years or not suited, and it's a little bit of a waste of time for you guys as well as for the employers, is you can go onto that category and essentially find jobs where they will definitely consider taking on a first year. And there is a huge range of jobs in this category at the moment. I think there's about 15 or 16 right now. That does rise, it does rise quite a lot. So, anything from bunker receivals, so doing a lot of harvest stuff, driving chaser bins, sugarcane haul out, dealing with the spray aircrafts for cropping, station hands, cooks, the list goes on. So that's definitely an area I'm really keen to focus on, especially for employers, and a bit of an incentive of definitely put your jobs up in here, because there are a lot of roles at the moment that I feel go to overseas workers or backpackers where young people in the industry can step into, and we're actually starting to create a solid upskilled workforce instead of having people, and there are jobs that are built for backpackers and things like that, but now we need to start to look at, okay, how do we put this skill into Australian workers, so in 5-10 years we start to reap the rewards of skilled workers. So again, the whole idea of the website is to bring everyone together, whether you're new or in the industry, employers, and then obviously making it a lot easier to upskill, whether you've just started or whether you're already in the industry.
Fantastic, Zoe. I mean, I love how you've really started small and just set yourself the goal of changing the face of agriculture job hunting. That's a fantastic kind of goal to have, and I'm sure that you're going to tackle that head on. Quick question, where would people go if they want to get information about those station livestock courses?
So they'll all be, ideally, for the Young Aussie Farmers ones, they'll either be on the website or on the Agriculture Jobs Auswide website. So there is a section, there's a job section on the website, and then there's an events and education section on the website. So they'll have things like your online courses or your on-hand courses, so things like your chem certs. We've had fecal egg counts, things like that. So all of it will be on the website, just making it one easy place to go and find everything you need.
Fantastic. So, and I love that first year out. That's a great opportunity to go. If you want to take a gap year even and get like 12 months of experience under your belt, that would be a great starting point to go and find a hands-on role that you're somewhere in an area where you're interested to live and work and have a good crack at something. That's great work, Zoe. Thank you so much for that information.
No, that's
Best of
fine.
luck. Sorry?
Pardon? Oh, I was just going to say the website, as I said, it's built for the industry too. So if you are wanting to go from Victoria, New South Wales to Western Australia and you need accommodation, you can actually filter your search in your job search to come up with, I need a job with at least single accommodation or a family accommodation. And then as well as that is the benefits are listed of, you know, accommodation, meals, meat might be included. So which makes it a lot easier for not only young people that might need single accommodation, but for also those families that it's just taking that huge time consumption for finding work in agriculture. It's now kind of making it a lot easier. So it does make it, if you go, for example, you do want a gap year, but I need to make sure I find a job that has accommodation, is that something you can easily search for instead of having to scroll through not only hundreds of different platforms, but then having to go through hundreds of different website single ads to then find that.
Yeah, that's great, that ability to filter out just jobs that will actually, you know, fit your needs. That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Zoe. That was, you know, really enlightening. It's great that we've got a central place we can go and look for jobs in agriculture. So hats off to you. Well done. Best of luck with it. And we look forward to getting updates and seeing what you're up to next year, maybe.
Thank you very much.
I would love to welcome Melanie Rowse from Elders. Melanie's a HR business partner at Elders Australia and has been a long-time supporter of our AgCareers Expo and is really an expert when it comes to some of the different jobs available in agriculture. How are you going, Mel?
I'm good. Thanks, Mel. How are you? And thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I'm great. So, Melanie, what have you got for us today?
So I'm going to give a little bit of background on Elders and our history and our business as it stands now. Is it's not as it used to be. We've certainly evolved over the years, and then we'll take you through our early careers program and the two streams that we have on offer, and I guess, you know, the best ways to get into our early careers programs and what they look like once you're in.
Fantastic. Take it away.
Thank you. Elders, this year we celebrate our 185th birthday, which is quite incredible to think that we've lasted 185 years through all the ups and downs that have happened in the past and through history. And you can sort of see as you read down that timeline where Elders as nearly didn't exist. So looking at 1993 and 2013, there's something with the three. So thankfully we got through 2023 okay. But way back in 1839, Alexander Elder was on a boat called Minerva and came out to Australia just with a few farm supplies and a passion and a dream for selling wool. And that's where the business kicked off. We've had many iterations of our business, from selling car seats to jam to beer to forestry. Tried to buy BHP. We were one of the biggest organisations in Australia there for a while. So yeah, there's certainly been a lot that's gone on in this business, which makes it a very rich and wonderful history, and great to be a part of something that's so iconically Australian. But back sort of in 2013, the last time we almost went broke, Elders made the decision to sort of get out of everything that wasn't related to agriculture and just go back to a pure play ag business, which is what we are today. So looking at our business model today, so broken up into sort of 5 or 6 different areas, with rural products or farm supplies being the biggest portion of our business. So that's all of our retail and farming inputs, from ag chem and fertilizer through to pet supplies, through to fencing and drenches and all the animal health side of the business. And then we move into our agency services, which is generally our livestock and wool part of the business. So livestock encompasses sheep, goats and cattle. We used to run a pig sale up here in Queensland, which is where I'm based, at the Toowoomba sale yard, selling pigs. So that's a different iteration of Elders again. We also have quite a big real estate arm to our business as well. So a lot of people, certainly in the more city-based areas, know of Elders Real Estate, whereas now we're certainly expanding our business and having more of a footprint rather across regional parts of not just New South Wales, but Australia as well, with the focus obviously being on the residential and rural side of the business, and property management as well. We have our financial services line, including our agri-finance and insurance. We also own the Kalara feedlot, which is about an hour out of Tamworth at Corindai, and have about 25,000 head of cattle, 20 to 25,000 head of cattle that get processed through that facility. And then we have our digital and tech services. So Clear Grain Exchange, we own 50% of Auctions Plus with Nutriem, and also our infamous Elders Weather, which everyone should have access to and looking at daily to see when the rain's coming or not coming. But yeah, it's a great little pocket guide in there, being Elders branded and owned by us. So having a look at our points of presence, we are located, and I'm just looking there, it's 184. We've had another birthday since then. This is where we're located across Australia. So interestingly enough, I saw a stat the other day that since 2022, our points of presence have increased by about 35 to 40 different points of presence, which may not sound like a lot, but across Australia, that's a huge boost to the local communities in which we now operate. And we do have upwards of 3,000 staff across the business as well, which and we're continuing to grow with more and more acquisitions coming into the business. So some of those acquisitions that are not necessarily branded Elders, but sit under our umbrella, we have ACE, which is in New South Wales, AIR, Australian Independent Rural Retailers, which is everywhere across Australia, and do a lot of the pet supplies and more of those rural supplies that you see in some of our stores. Sunfam up here in Queensland, Esperance Rural over in WA. So, you know, we're continuing to really flesh out what's under the Elders umbrella, and it's quite an exciting time to be part of this business as we do continue to grow. So looking at our early careers, just a little video here, I hope it works. It just gives a bit of an overview of us and our business and our culture. Yeah.
As a brand, it's national.
Slides. Our early careers program. So we have two streams in our early careers program, one being our livestock sales and the other one being agronomy. So looking at our livestock program, so it's an 18-month program where we move you to 2 or 3 different locations depending on the experience that you're after, and just try and really provide that that opportunity to work with both sheep and cattle in areas that interest you. We're not just going to, you know, send you somewhere where you don't necessarily want to be, because we know we're not going to get the best out of you and what you want to achieve in your career. So it's about mutually agreeing on where you want your career to head and how we can best support that. So by giving you the opportunity to rotate through a couple of different sites, you also get to learn from a couple of different mentors that we have in our business, and the opportunity to see how they do things and really pick apart and get to understand how they've grown their business, because ultimately it's a selling role. So we want people to be capable and confident in selling and trading of livestock. So again, just providing that opportunity to move around and see how different people do it, we find really gives people that good grounding to understand what's required of them as they, as you graduate from the program and start your career working in selling and trading of livestock. So generally the recruitment process for that program, we open up in June or July. And we look to hold face-to-face interviews in your preferred state with the local product managers or product manager. And from there, we look to start the program in either late October or February. And then, it really goes from there. You can get the most out of this by really throwing yourself into it, being open to new experiences, making sure that you're building on your networks and your connections, because there's so many people in the pink shirt, particularly from a livestock space, that are so passionate about what they do and happy to impart their knowledge and their wisdom on the people coming through to grow, I guess, the next generation of elders livestock agents. And so looking at our agronomy program, so generally we take people in the year that obviously they graduate from university, and it's a similar recruitment process as I described with the livestock program. But the agronomy program is for 2 years. And again, we look to do 2 to 3 rotations depending on the segment that you're interested in. And again, pairing you up with those mentors that are passionate about what they do, that can really impart their knowledge on you to be able to grow and develop your skills in agronomy. In both of the programs, we do offer a face-to-face get-together with the cohort at least once or twice a year, and various training opportunities are offered throughout via Teams. So, using the powers of the virtual connections that we can make these days as well, which is really good. And the pay ranges for both of these roles, we're looking at sort of around $60,000 a year for someone coming into the livestock program, and that 70 to 75 for our agronomists moving into that program there. And Mel, I think that's it, covering off, I guess, the basics for the program. And if you've got any questions that you sort of wanted me to talk a little bit more about.
Well, I guess just where's the best place to go and find the information? Where can I check on the intake dates and the entry requirements for these programs, Mel?
Yeah, absolutely. So our website, elders.com.au, or follow us on social media. So the programs do generally launch at around, that sort of June mark. We do have an email address that you can contact the wonderful Ella who runs our program. So it's earlycareers@elders.com.au. And if you wanted to register your interest or ask any further information, then Ella's absolutely the one to reach out to and get more information from her.
And as well as these programs, there's also, locally there might be opportunities that come up for people working in, local branches or rural supplies, things like that as well. And for those kind of ones, just keep an eye on your local job board and the local business websites.
Yeah, that's right. So keep checking back on the Elders website and all the usual job boards I seek. Or don't be afraid to go into the branches and have a conversation and just if you are interested in pursuing a career with Elders, then again go in, make yourself known, start to build that rapport and those connections, because you just never know when an opportunity is going to pop up. And if people know you and know that you've got the skills to do it, then and they've got your details, then absolutely we can reach out that way as well.
And I think that's a fantastic piece of advice. I am still astounded at how many times you might have a conversation and then maybe even a year or two later you bump into that person again, and it opens up new opportunities for work or for education opportunities or collaborating on projects and different things like that. So I think generally in the ag industry, everyone's really happy to have a chat and share information. So don't be shy about going in and saying hello to someone in a business like Elders.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about networks and connections and building relationships in what we do. You know, being a sales-based organisation, relationships are key. So you've got to be able to go up and start to build, I guess, build your profile with people. And that starts by walking through the front door and having a conversation. But yeah, always happy to have a chat, whether it be in any of our local branches or if anyone wants to reach out to me directly, I'm also more than happy to have a chat about what the opportunities could look like.
Thank you so much, Melanie. We really value your expertise and your knowledge. You've got so much great information about what's happening at Elders, and I always love hearing from you. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. We've heard from some really interesting speakers today, and thank you again to all of those speakers for taking time out and joining us to share their knowledge and insights. I just want to run you through a few other things, like some training options and a little bit about what RuralBiz training does. I'd like you all just to take a minute to think about something from the presentations you've seen that might have sparked your interest. What is it that resonates with you and what you want your career to look like? Are you interested in data and science? Are you interested in telling stories and connecting with people? Would you rather spend most of your time with animals because people just aren't your thing? There's a lot of different options out there, and don't be afraid to keep asking questions until you find the pathway that's going to take you where you want to be. So one of the things you might have noticed through the presentations today is that there are a lot of different influences on agriculture, and it is a highly evolved and technological industry to be working in today. So these are a couple of the things that I see as being really key influences globally on the kinds of jobs and skills that people are looking for in ag today. So a big one, and this has been the case for a while, is that agriculture needs to feed the world, and the world global population is growing. So the world's population is expected to increase to So there are a few big global issues that I see that are influencing agriculture and going to have a big impact on the kinds of job and training and education options that we see for you in your careers in your lifetime. The couple of things that I say as being really big influencing factors at the moment is the need to provide food and fibre for a growing global population. The world's population is expected to increase by nearly 2 billion people in the next 30 years, and that's a lot of extra mouths to feed. And the job is going to fall onto the shoulders of farmers around the world. So making sure that we can produce quality, safe food for that kind of population is going to be a really important role for agriculture in the coming decades. Another big factor in careers in agriculture is the way that we understand and deal with climate variability. We're seeing higher variability, more changes in weather patterns and cycles that affect our production cycles. And I think we need to build our resilience and our education around how we deal with those factors and how they impact our production cycles in agriculture. AI and robotics are already a part of farming today, and I feel like we've really moved past, in a way, you know, ag technology is now evolved into this sort of ag robotics and ag artificial intelligence. It's really going to the next level now. Farmers are already collecting loads and loads of data on their farm with moisture sensors, livestock tags that map how much they've eaten and how much they weigh, you know, different motion sensors on harvesters, weed sensors, all that sort of stuff. And I just see that as being an area that's really going to just grow exponentially. So if you're interested in tech, AI and robotics, then there's definitely a spot for that in the ag world. The other thing that I'm seeing is an increase in environmental accounting. So if you want to take commodities onto a global market, so if you want to go and sell canola into the EU or something like that, then you're going to have very clear environmental credentials and your sustainability is going to have to be mapped. Excuse me. So you may have heard that Australia has a carbon farming scheme and heard people refer to AgCareers, which is the Australian Carbon Credit Unit, where there's a whole new financial system, and policy changes around the world is going to mean that they need to offset carbon and account for your environmental outputs, and the inputs within a farming system are really going to be greatly increased. So that's something that's going to affect the way that we farm over the next 2 or 3 decades. One other advice, one thing that I always say to people is that let's choose your own adventure in agriculture and choose an adventure that aligns with your priorities. So when I'm talking to prospective students about what's important to them when they're studying, there can be a whole different range of factors. Sometimes when you're looking at education opportunities, you need to consider the cost. How is it delivered? Is the course that you're looking at nationally recognised? And is the course suitable for the kind of agriculture that you're interested in? So you might find that a university course that has a strong science focus perhaps is a good fit for you, or you might find that a nationally recognised vocational course that aligns with the practices and processes that you're implementing on your farm on a daily basis are the right fit for you. So keep asking questions and talk to different providers until you find options that feel like they're going to align with your goals, your priorities, and your values as well. So this slide here has been provided by Aggregate Consulting and just gives us a little bit of an indication of different income ranges within industries. So I've just thrown this one in here to kind of give you a bit of an indication that job roles in agriculture have very comparable incomes to job roles in other industries, and you can really make a good income. So obviously, the more experience and responsibility that you take on in your job role, the better your income is likely to be. So you'll notice farm manager roles might be in excess of $2,500 a week on average, and a station hand or a senior station hand are back down here a little bit, but on par with a job role in construction or healthcare perhaps. The other thing that is very common in agriculture, which may not be as common in other industries, is that your total package value is really important. Often job roles in agriculture might include other benefits such as the use of a vehicle, provision of fuel, on-farm lodgings and accommodation, and other things like that. So just really think about what's included in your overall package and the value of that compared to if you're paying for it out of your own pocket. This little infographic here just gives us a breakdown of the Australian Qualifications Framework. So this will just show you how the different education systems in Australia overlap and just hopefully make that a little bit clearer for you. So sometimes you might start off doing a certificate 1 or 2 of something whilst you're still at school as part of your vet in schools pathways. But anything really from certificate 1 through to level 8 is considered part of the vet system, but there's some overlap there from level 5 through to level 10 is the higher education system. So you'll see that level 5 and 6, where our diploma and advanced diploma sit, overlap with both the vocational and university systems. And one of the advantages of having a system like this is that qualifications such as a diploma can often be used as advanced standing towards higher level degrees from a tertiary institution. So if you did a diploma, that could give you automatic entry or advanced standing, or both, into, say, a Bachelor of Ag or Agribusiness at university, if that's the pathway you want to go down. So what does RuralBiz do? We really just concentrate on specialising courses for farmers in agriculture, agribusiness, horticulture, applied agronomy, and production horticulture. So what do RuralBiz do? Well, RuralBiz Training is a specialised private registered training organisation, and we deliver qualifications from certificate for diploma and advanced diploma levels, specialising in ag, agribusiness, production horticulture and applied agronomy. So we're very focused on just providing training in those areas, which means that we can be quite specialised, and it's really easy for us to keep up with industry, and we're really well connected with what's happening in the industry. I've just got a few different screen grabs here from different websites around about, and this is by no means a comprehensive list, but there's a few different programs here that may be of interest to people who are just starting out their careers in ag. So one, of course, is the AgCareers Start website. Please jump on and have a look at that. Another great one is Haylee Inc. that does a face-to-face program down in the Riverina of New South Wales, where they have training blocks and practical experience on farms. So it's a really great, well-respected program. The Elders Livestock Career Development Program, of course. Ability Agriculture is a great way for people, is a great resource for people who may be living with a disability to engage in agricultural careers. There's some great resources there, and they have a great school program. So if you're a school, visit the Ability Agriculture website and jump on board. Once you've left school, there's also other learning opportunities such as you know, traineeships. Seasonal work is a great way to get some experience. Programs like Ag Skilled in New South Wales provides funding for you to do skill sets. So there's lots of different opportunities for education, experience and careers in agriculture. This slide has a few links to some government websites that might help you find education and training opportunities in agriculture. So the big one is the federal yourcareer.gov. And there's a that's great for helping you navigate to career options. Each state also has a skills website where you can go and find out information about courses and course fee subsidies that may be available for courses that interest you in the vocational sector. So TAFE, RuralBiz Training, other training providers like that. So there's some links there. If you've got any questions, just give me a shout after the presentation. I'm more than happy to put you in touch with resources in your state if RuralBiz can't help you as well. So what funding and subsidies are around at the moment? So just at the moment, funding and subsidies tend to work on two different levels, state and federal. So at a state level, most state governments subsidise the cost of education and training at a vocational level, at least to some extent. So currently, RuralBiz Training can access some sort of subsidy in New South Wales, Queensland, South Australia, Victoria and Tasmania for students, although that can vary at any time and the amounts vary from state to state. Most diploma and advanced diploma courses are also eligible for a VET student loan, which is a Commonwealth government loan scheme designed to make it easier for you to access education and training and defer the cost until later on through the tax system, the same way that you would with a HECS debt if you went to university. RuralBiz also offers payment plan options. So if you'd like to enroll, you can spread your course fee out over up to 2 years and just make payments in smaller chunks that's more appropriate for you and your income. Keep your eyes peeled, because in the next month or so, RuralBiz Training will be announcing our scholarship opportunities. We typically offer 2 scholarships each year for rural and remote students. These 2 lovely ladies are our current scholarship holders. So over with the cow here, you'll see that's Rhiannon. She's based in Victoria. Her and her family are running a cattle farm down there. And on horseback over here, we'll see Darcy from Queensland. She's working with her local council in a biosecurity role. And they're both taking lots of information from the course to be able to apply in their jobs. If you're a little bit creative, you might be interested in entering our 2025 calendar competition. This is a great initiative. This is the 2nd year that we've run it. This fabulous photo was one of our winning images from last year. So that competition closes in October. So jump onto our website and get all the details there and get your entries in soon. There's some really great cash prizes for that one. So just to wrap all of that up, what I really want everyone to know is just that the options are endless. Agriculture is crying out for people to come and work in the industry and just work your way. So if you're into marketing or arts or science or animals or pastures or soils or logistics, there's a job role for you in agriculture. It's a really competitive industry. So jump on board, ask questions, and find your pathway. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. We're really thrilled that you could be here. Thank you again to all of our speakers. We really value your time and expertise and knowledge, and thank you so much for sharing it so willingly with us. If anyone has any questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch. All of our contact details are on the ruralbiztraining.com.au website. Thank you, and enjoy your future in ag. I'm delighted to welcome Haylee Murrell, who is the Outbound Project Officer for AgCareer Start. Now, AgCareer Start, I think, is just the most fantastic gap year program that is available in Australia at the moment. So if you're under 25 and interested in spending a year working on a farm somewhere in Australia, take note, because Haylee's got the program for you. How are you going, Haylee?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having me. Very excited to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure. Can you tell us a little bit about what's happening with AgCareer Start? And I understand there's some dates we need to pay attention to that are coming up really soon.
Absolutely. We'll start with the date. That's the most important. Applications close on the 29th of September, which is very exciting. If you do get this webinar a little bit later, please reach out to the team. I'm sure we can make some accommodation for you when applying. So definitely don't hesitate to reach out. But if you're happy, I might kickstart the presentation.
Fire away.
I'm Haylee, Outbound Project Officer for the AgCareer Start program, which in short just means that I speak to students about applying to an agricultural gap year. If you are 17 to 25, not sure what you want to do next year, looking to get out into the agricultural workforce, I believe AgCareer Start is the program for you. So we'll start by having a look at what AgCareer Start is, what it can offer you, and then we'll come back and see what the application process is like. Again, I just want to state that our applications do close on the 29th of September, so please write that date down, very important. But AgCareer Start is a gap year program for 17 to 25-year-olds. It is a 10 to 12-month program where you can go anywhere in Australia and work in any industry. This is really exciting, and we're very passionate about it being your gap year. So you have the opportunity to preference what industry you want to work in, where in Australia you want to work in, what kind of team you want to work in, whether that's family orientated, corporate, lots of social activities, maybe more one-on-one. You get to cater it to be your gap year. One of the most exciting things about the program is that we do offer a dedicated pastoral support team. I know that there's plenty of gap year opportunities up north that may not offer this, and so we like to provide additional assisted support. So when you're leaving high school, it can be a little bit scary, moving out of home for the first time, working first full-time job. We'd like to provide 24/7 pastoral support, which basically means you can ring us about any issue whatsoever. I know that parents feel a lot more reassurance if you're moving away from home for this, but it's basically just additional support whenever or whatever you may need. The most exciting thing about the program is that you're provided a $4,500 training bursary. I don't know about anyone else, but no one's been handing me $4,500 lately, so definitely a highlight of the program. This money, we really encourage you to spend absolutely every cent on training, licenses, courses, industry events. We've even had some people propose an international study tour. So if that's what you're interested in, please approach us. We want you to get the most out of your gap year, whether it is a career opportunity for you to work in agriculture, or whether it is simply just a 10 to 12 month break from school before you head off into another job. So to kick things off, AgCareers is delivered by the National Farmers Federation. That's really important, especially if you want a long-term career in ag. NFF is the governing body for all farmers in Australia, which basically means that we advocate for all their rights. Positive of that is that we have connections and networks everywhere. So if you are looking for a long-term career, if you want to meet someone in particular, we can definitely connect you with that. The AgCareers program is funded by DAFF, so the Department of Ag, Food and Fisheries, which does mean that we are taxpayer funded basically, which is really important as it means that lots of young Aussies are going to have the opportunity to go through this, and it also means that mum and dad are supporting the program as well. So we'll have a look at the overview of your gap year before we take a step back and have a look at the application process, but I think this is really important to kind of nut out what's going to happen next year. So we like to start all of our participants off between January and March. So that'll entirely depend on the farm industry that you go into, whether you might have school holidays in January. You might have something on you can't start till March. Very okay, we're very flexible. Again, we want it to be your gap year. But we start the year off with an orientation week. Some of you might have heard of an O week at university. Ours is a little bit tamer than that, but it's still very fun. It's where we will fly all of our participants to a central location. So next year we're going to be in Victoria, which is very exciting. And we'll spend 4 or 5 days together doing some workshops about the realities of farm life, how to prepare yourself, how to communicate with different staff, with different managers. We'll do first aid training, chemical training, basically to prepare you as best as possible for your time on farm. This is an opportunity for you to network and meet the other participants. So there'll be 70 of you next year. It's also a really great opportunity to create friendships with us, the staff that'll be supporting you throughout the year. And also it's just really fun. Who doesn't want a free holiday? That's basically what it is. From there, we encourage you to start on farm. So following on all that knowledge, all that information, you'll kickstart your time on farm. You'll have the opportunity to do orientation on your farm, get to know, and you'll get straight into the hard work. I'm not going to lie, agriculture is a tough industry. It is hard work, but it is so very rewarding and very enjoyable. During your 10 to 12 months on farm, the team will be in regular contact with you. So we have lots of touch points that we do, starting with our monthly webinars, which is where all of our participants must jump on a Tuesday night for half an hour, 40 minutes, where we all just catch up and talk about how the last couple of weeks have been. It's a really great opportunity to, if you are potentially living in the NT, maybe WA, you're a little bit isolated, to see some friendly faces and have a chat, which is very exciting. We also do regular welfare and training check-ins. So Michaela, our welfare coordinator, she will contact you every 4 to 6 weeks just to make sure that you're okay, there's been no issues, you're happy where you are, and if there's anything that you might want to talk to her about, maybe a tough conversation with your boss, this is a really great opportunity to do so. As I mentioned, you get $4,500. We're not going to deposit that into your bank account. You have to be really nice to Chloe, who is going to hold the purse strings to that money. So Chloe will do regular check-ins with you to basically create a training plan for your time on farm. So this is where you'll sit down with her and your host farmer and decide what kind of training you want to do. Maybe that's conferences, maybe it's licenses, maybe your farmer would like you to do some training and then let you go and attend conferences as you'd like. But that's the period where Chloe will book you in for training, pay for your accommodation and your travel to get there, and make sure that you're all sorted. So those check-ins will happen every 6 weeks, but again, our team is available 24 hours a day, so you can call us if you have any queries or questions anytime. Once you've completed your 10 to 12 months on farm, we actually do have a graduation program, which is very exciting. We invite all of your host farmers, some big CEOs, some university people to come and watch you guys graduate the program and basically reflect on what the last 10 to 12 months has taught you. This is a great opportunity for networking and to reflect on your achievements of what could be a really tough year or in a very exciting year. Once you have finished the program, we're not just going to kick you out the door and say, see you later. We actually transfer you to our alumni program. So at the end of this year, we will have 180 people in our alumni program. And it's basically an opportunity for you to network with other like-minded young agriculturalists, but also to take advantage of scholarships, different work opportunities. We encourage our alumni to speak to the media on our behalf. So you might have the opportunity to speak on the television, maybe in a newspaper. But also have the opportunity to attend conferences on behalf of the Ag Career Start program. As I said, we are a national program. This provides so many opportunities for you. We, of course, have all the typical industries like beef, dairy, sheep, cropping, cotton, horticulture, aquaculture. But if you come to us and you have a really niche industry that you're interested in, we can also make that happen, which is very exciting. We encourage you in your application to put down your top 4 preferences for industry, and we also encourage you to put down your location preference. With a little tip with that, if you have an industry that you must work in, you are not going to go on a gap year unless you get to work in that industry, please be a little bit flexible about your location. It just gives us the opportunity to make things work a little bit better for you. Or in the other context, if you are specific about staying in a location, maybe close to home, please just be flexible about what industry you want to work in. It just gives us a little bit more opportunity to place you. Some farm industries don't work in some locations and vice versa. As you can see, last year, cattle, grain, sheep and cotton were our most popular industries. This is not to say that you cannot work in any other industries. We have quite a few people working in aquaculture, pork and equine as well. I didn't get that. Over the last 4 years, we have placed 180 young participants on farm, which is very exciting. Of these participants, 77% have successfully completed the program and 84% of those have stayed in the agricultural industry. Again, I'll say you don't have to want a long-term career in agriculture. You just have to be keen to get in and have a go. That's what we're looking for. Over the last couple of years, our demographics have changed slightly. We are definitely more skewed towards the female population, which is very exciting, 57%. But it's a statistic that I just want to point out is that only 80% of our participants have completed high school. We obviously encourage you, if you can, complete year 12, but we understand that a learning environment such as high school might not be for everyone. If you're looking for an opportunity to potentially finish school early, do something else, we really encourage you to do that. Graduating year 12 is not something that we look for within your application. Again, AgCareer Start is a completely open program. If you do identify with having a disability, we still encourage you to apply. 10% of our cohort every single year, which is actually increasing, do identify as having a disability. Mention you have $4,500 to spend on training and development. So these are a couple of the samples of things that you can do while on farm. Most popular ones are always chemical handling, first aid, low stress stock handling. But very exciting this year, we had our first drone pilot. So he completed that course, which is very exciting. We've also had participants previously do their plane license as well, which is, yeah, as I said, your mind can run wild. Whatever your heart's desire, we can make it happen within the AgCareer Start program. If training is not for you and you're looking for something potentially a little bit more social, more networky, we would encourage you to attend industry events. So some of our most popular ones that you might have heard of is Innovation Generation, LAMEX, Cotton Conference, and of course, Young Beef Producers Forum. So you also have the opportunity to attend as many of these events as possible. And I would say that every industry that AgCareer Start works in always has a conference every single year. So there's the opportunity to go and network and socialize with other people. I think welfare engagement we've covered. I just want to encourage and remind you that all of our host farmers also do have check-ins. So while we're doing checking in on you, if there's something that you want us to raise with your host farmer for you, we can do that. But we also encourage peer-to-peer communication during our welfare check-ins. So again, those webinars that we host, we have a Facebook group and a WhatsApp group for everyone in your location that you can communicate with. We have a Snapchat group where everyone catches up regularly. So there's lots of interaction happening. You're never going to be on your own on farm. And I think finishing off, what else can you get from AgCareer Start? So as I said, those cohort webinars, personal development, we like to prepare you for life as much as possible. Newsletters, which you can always divert to your parents if you want them to see what's going on. And again, networking opportunities and the alumni program. So what you really want to know is how the applications work. So as I said, applications closing on the 29th of September. It is a very simple application online. We just want to get to know you. We want to get to know your preferences. You will need to submit a reference, a resume, and a statement of intent. There is a reference template which you can just send to your referee and say, please fill this out for me, and you just attach it. For your statement of intent, you either have the opportunity to do a written statement of intent or a video statement of intent. So there's a couple of prompts, different things like that to basically get what we want out of you. So it'll be why you're interested in the AgCareer Start program, why does your first pick industry interest you? Maybe tell us about a time that you've had to go through something that showed resilience, things like that, so we can best get the sense of what you're looking for and whether you'll be right for the program. From that point, we will shortlist a bunch of participants, depending on how many numbers we get. I can't confirm or say just yet. We will ask you to do psychometric testing. I know that sounds really scary, but it is basically a personality test, and the only people that will be seeing this is you and your host farmer. So all of this is so that we can best manage how you like to be managed, but also how you like to be rewarded for doing a good job, how you prefer to communicate, things like that, so we can make your gap year as seamless as possible. We'll then begin matching you with host farmers depending on what you've put down preference and location wise. So host farmers get the opportunity to look at your applications and they will decide whether they want to interview you or not. After you've successfully completed your interview, we will confirm your placement and a start date, and then we'll get started planning orientation week. It's a really simple application process, nothing for you guys to stress about. If you have any concerns during this process and you want to reach out to the team, please do, and we'll update you where your application is. That's basically it. Again, I just want to remind you that you just need to be 17 to start on farm, and that you must be an Australian citizen or someone with full working rights.
Thanks so much, Haylee. It's such an exciting program, and I just, wish I was still in the age demographic and I could apply myself. So those key dates to remember: 29th of September, applications are closing, so that's coming up really quickly. And it really is just the most fantastic opportunity. I've had the pleasure of meeting some of the previous year's cohorts at various industry events, and they're really, just getting the opportunity to go and participate in top level industry events and do some really good networking that will set them in good stead for their careers in future. Thank you so much, Haylee. I will make sure that everyone, just if you have any questions, you can get in touch with AgCareer Start directly. The email address and phone number is there on the presentation, so don't hesitate to reach out and apply really, really soon.
Yay, thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us, Haylee. Really appreciate your time. Really excited to see the placements from this year's cohorts and see them all at next year's industry events.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate getting to re-record.